may not have realized it, the impact, and we get used to it maybe perhaps, but uh, the impact that it's going to have is going to be huge, and it's not going. We may not like this. The some things which are started by these this. COVID-19 is going to be lasting very for a long time, or may change the direction, the way we work, or the way we handle stuff. So this, of course, I was interested in. There are many issues that came to my mind, but not of all of them could be done in that particular one instance time. It some are have a long-term impact, so you cannot have a immediately. You don't need, for instance, the way it has impacted the education sector. It's a I don't think that you may have thought about or imagined this kind of our conversation even like March and early March, even not during March or April of last year. So so this in within 1 year we have changed the way we are working. The whole industry or the thing we have got experience to people who were reluctant or maybe was reluctant to have an online lecture. Still there are problems. I don't say that everything is the same. I many of like I am teaching mathematics to my students, and I find like a classroom lecture to be much more sometime better, because I can see their face. If they someone doesn't understand, I can look at and tell that okay, he or she is not getting it. So but still it's a kind of revolutionary. So but the main thing which actually imitating was happening, that was the kind of suffering it has caused. Okay, for instance, we have all read and seen the kind of problems or issues faced by migrants, some casual worker or some other vulnerable sections. There are reports which show that single mothers or some minorities or other vulnerable sections, especially those in cities, they are hugely impacted. And there was one other report which shows that many of them had to stay hungry for many days. Like it's not maybe continuously days, but like you have a 4 or 5 days food, but then again you don't get food for a day, or and that's it. So it has a welfare impact, and many were working. So I wanted to do research on this. There are two of my earlier people was in contact. I was in Himachal that time. So two of people I was in contact with was there's a Dr. Naresh from there is a small town Jetto in Freeport. So we got interested, and we was thinking that let's do some survey or see what they are doing. So we did a small survey of 31 households. He like during the period when this lock they were going to say that curfew was lifted to buy essential stuff. So he had gone there and got some contact number and then called and did survey. It was in May, okay, May, mid-May. So we were interested, and we were thinking initially that we can plan a little bigger survey on that. Because the thing is, people, the way people, that was more about how people adjusted or how they what they did during that time, and it was not random survey. So we had some experience, but somehow we could not continue. He had some other engagements and he could not do again survey. And so again later there is another one of my co-author, which Jagdeep Singh. He was in Mansa, and we thought again to do this survey. And but since because of this the way it is that I have given the resources, we could not plan a bigger survey. And it since it was also again that time restrictions, I could not go there from to have to help him also. Okay, So so we were thinking so so we planned this survey, and in that that time, and since and but so we would wanted to do a survey which is much more like it's like most of the surveys which were done till now, they were mostly focused on informal labor or migrant labor, but they didn't want to understand that what is happening. Okay, so we need some kind of households which are randomly selected so that they represent the population. At least it's not they are not going to represent the whole population of Punjab, but somehow they may indicate what's happening there in urban areas, or at least if we could do. So we thought of selecting a random survey, and then we must have do this sampling. And since it is a Mansa as a city, we thought of dividing it into some portions, and then take one portion randomly again. After that, like it's a see, we cannot list all the households in that area. Like it will be thousands of households. So the best way is to, which generally people use it, to divide into pockets, and then those among those pockets you randomly select some pockets, and then from those pockets you can have a number of households estimated, and then do a random survey of that, like select randomly from those. So we did that. We one portion we have divided up into 55, and then selected 11. From there we have somehow selected 5 households. There are many ways to do it, and one way is to select just randomly, like based on random table, or which are households you are doing. Another could be just you divide the total calculate the number of households, you divide it with like if you are having 5 households, divide with 5, and then first group you randomly select, and then you add that number of like households into that. So that we selected mainly randomly. So from there, then it was mostly Jagdeep who has done all those, and he got those numbers, phone numbers, and later interviewed mostly, and so we discussed about those experiences he is saying, and what kind of questions. I framed a schedule to conduct a survey, and then we and discuss after discussions of experience, and then I discuss what more information we could want, and some of the households then we would interview, then we again call them if we need to know more about it, and so it was done on that way. In fact, we have visited those same 55 households again in October, and then in January, February. And so we have for the time at this point of time, the kind of 9-month data on their income changes, mainly, mostly how the income has changed and how it has basically recovered from that point of time.
Yeah, that is amazing, because one thing I liked about your paper was there was just not 2 time periods, because sometimes many the people who want to do an impact study, and if any intervention or any incident happens and they want to see whether that circumstance, that situation, or that intervention has led to increase income or not, people take 2 time periods, before and after. But here is your survey which looked at what is the income loss after lockdown phase 1, then lockdown phase 2, lockdown phase 3, lockdown phase 4. So it gave us a better idea that how stringent a lockdown, how much it affects income, and when you have a relaxed lockdown, how this was, I think, one of the good part of your research paper, because we were looking at some more papers, but this was unique part of your, that you had 4 different time points data, and now you're saying that you have even persisted and collected the data again in October, and then January, February. So same. So student, this is what we would call as a longitudinal study. So cross-sectional is when we just collect a data at one point of time. but here we have the data of the same respondents across 4, 5, or 6 time periods. And the respondents were basically coming from, as you mentioned, it were mostly the laborers that were in the, the sampling frame when we talk about the
No,
unit of analysis,
no, we
or the
have taken
businesses.
randomly. So we had all labor. So we have 15, for instance, casual worker, 8 were regular salaried, and 32 were self-employed.
So self-employed here would mean कि जिनका जैसे कि खुद का छोटा मोटा business है, या they are
Yes, yes.
how would you define self-employed in?
Yeah, those who have some capital and they have they're working, no, they're earning from that. It's we included some maybe bigger also. For instance, some of shopkeepers. One was had he was selling products to poultry farms, and one like there were some boutique, and then something similar kind of work.
So as a principal investigator, so generally how happens, क्योंकि our students will also be doing some research in the group, and every group has one group leader and there are other team members who are working. So you used to be in constant touch with your co-authors कि क्या हो रहा है, आज कितना डेटा हुआ, ये क्वेश्चनर फाइनल है, ये हमें जाके फील्ड में मतलब अभी जो टेलीफोन करने वाले थे वो कौन थे, आप थे या आपके
नहीं,
students
जगदीप
थे?
सिंह.
हाँ.
Jagdeep Singh, your
Okay, so
second author.
basically, yeah, he himself took the responsibility of calling people and getting the interviews.
Yes, yes.
So generally टेलीफोनिक सर्वे में देखा गया है कि आप 10 लोगों को फोन करते हो तो या एक या दो जन जवाब देता है, ऐसा. तो वैसी दिक्कतें जयदीप जी को भी आई थी डेटा कलेक्शन में.
Yes, actually data collection is always tough. So there had some tricks we apply. For instance, what we do is generally, let's suppose I want to do a survey in one street. Okay, if I know some of the people who can help me, I will first contact them or somehow establish a rapport whenever possible. Uh, or someone know, then giving their reference makes it a little easier to like opening up. If I call someone, they don't know, okay, who are you? Why you are asking these things? But if I tell them, okay, that he knows you, and I tell them, okay, I'm Varun. I start with I'm Varun's friend, and I am doing this survey. Like the first thing when I'm Varun's friend, it makes a huge difference sometimes. In fact, I have used this technique almost mostly in my surveys. I had actually earlier one survey on commission agents for my PhD across Punjab, and first thing when we meet is their commission agents, their local union president. Okay, so next time when we meet, we ask them, okay, we give them and then we convince them that okay, these are things which you are doing it. Then when we give a reference that we have talked to him, if that makes a little confident, and actually and that makes it easier. But still there are, as it's not that there are not issues, especially if you have a long schedule, and number of questions are too many, they do actually get a little bored, and so it becomes difficult, especially for one person. So I have experience, even you go personally, it becomes difficult. So that's why when you have a you go personally visiting someone, the best is to go in a team of two if possible. Like one is just asking question, conversing, so person doesn't feel bored and feel you are engaging. Second person is just noting down what is she or she is saying. Okay, later of course they can discuss about it, and those things, but it's tough, and I think I do like the way Jagdeep was thorough with his questions and the way he engaged them. It was good. In fact, he memorized the whole schedule. He didn't use the schedule filling, so he had his own diary. Whenever he's conversing, he was writing points on that. instead of schedule, and he kind of memorized how in sequence he was going to ask. Of course, if you have since we had mobile number there, if something is left, we could always ask. So there are things are which are like you get over the time when you do a survey, you have a it's kind of get some skills which to make it easier. It well will never be too easy, but it will becomes easier.
Okay, students, if anyone would like to ask any question, please go ahead.
Sir, if I may.
Yes, please go ahead. Please introduce yourself and from which place you are, and then you can proceed with the question.
Sir, so my name is Ujjwal Jain. I'm a second year student and I'm from Surat. Uh, so I had a question that you convinced 55 people to take the survey, but how difficult was it to take the survey at different intervals of time? Because sometimes it might get too much for those participants to, answer the calls and answer the questions like three times, four times. So how did you convince them to do so?
और सर कितना लेंथ था इंटरव्यू का? 15 मिनट होता था या 20 मिनट के ऊपर जाते थे टेलीफोन इंटरव्यू?
Okay. Thing is, of course, it's 55 is difficult, but I tell you one thing which I think since it was we have a resource constraint also, and it was a lockdown, we could not do bigger. But I do suggest that if you are thinking any survey, think about at least 100 or maybe if possible 200 household or 200 sample size, because it's a relatively small 30-55 is not that a big sample. I hoped we could have done at least 100. But there is a thing is that see we have when first time it's difficult. It took depending on sometime we ask them, call them, and they think that okay, we are not busy or some way we are not able to answer your question. It's a then you can always you get it another time, and you have to be keep pursuing. That's the only way that you can do. But there are one thing which made our life easy was that due to lockdown, and those days Saturday Sunday was lockdown, so Saturday Sundays you could call. Mostly Saturday Sundays when they are home, they may not be doing too much, or and then so they may be able to spend at least half an hour to 1 hour, and if they are too much becoming, you can always call later. So it's and we had a relatively smaller schedule. Okay, we thought of this that over mobile, I don't think that they will be able to spend like we thought about half an hour. Okay, it's a limit to which for our questions. So we had a smaller number of questions, and since we are knew that we are interested in these aspects, we just focused on those. Uh, had like the longer schedule has very many benefits, like you can look at many dimensions later, but it like something like you have NSS no, they are doing this kind of survey. It is very long schedules, but thing is that their aim is very different. We have focus, so we made a smaller shorter thing, and it's a half to 1 hour. Somehow some details like we have filled main details formally properly, then after that we it is about reasons. Okay, so some people when they're sharing feeling and they sharing things, not everyone will do it, but they will tell you details. Then they I think becomes easier, because those are views mostly how they are thinking about it situation. And so it's not that difficult when you're asking that kind of questions. When the difficulty comes when you ask them question and you have to note down, okay, what is your income, what is the age of your age, or what your education, etc. So they feel it little odd. Second and third time as concerned is see we most of their family members information, their education, their the caste identity and other stuff, they we had already known. So second survey, we didn't ask them again those things. We know that who are they, and they. So we asked if there is only we are interested if there is a number of change in the number of family members. Okay. Second, if there is a new one, some person who has started working, or someone who has stopped working, and their income. Okay, mostly and income, and their borrowing a little bit. So overall, if you think about these questions, they were not more than 10 minutes. Of course, we engaged them, we asked them details of some other stuff, but these questions were between 5 to 10 minutes, which they could answer. And of course, they find it irritating sometimes when you call again, second time, and then third time definitely. Even my this Jagdeep, he was saying that it will be, we were planning earlier to have at least 1 year. So he was saying that they were, some of them are really irritated. Let's see if we can do it. It will be difficult to have a 1 year, but let's see. But so these are challenges. There is no easy solution, but as I told you, the second, third, for us it was relatively easy because we didn't ask them to give that much time. But it was difficult also, in the sense that they were busy this time. Okay, this time, earlier they were, first time they were relatively free. They could give time. They can come over phone, and now they're morning to evening they are outside. And in evening, or they, if you call them, they, or even in holidays, they maybe with family, and they, since earlier they were whole day they were with family, so they may not have that problem. So it's for us it's difficult. Was level was relatively less, but yeah, it's difficult. And as I told you, that best way is to have a not too big question schedule if possible. uh, Second is if two are going, if you're single, going single handedly, also preferably have some your schedule by heart, kind of, don't have to look again and again to your schedule. It will take also the longer. And if you can start a conversation, like with them, they are not they will be interested. Okay, so you don't start like from beginning. Okay, what are the, how many family members you have, etc., etc. Sometime you start with questions which interest them. Okay, you, and then you come to this again, you ask something which interests them. So this might make your life easy. Otherwise it's a uh, this is the only suggestion I can give.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to please go ahead with your question? Anyone else would like to ask the question? If you could even raise the hand, so we would know that how many people would like to ask the question. So jab tak, if anyone wants to ask a question, please unmute or raise your hand.
Yes, sir, I would like to go.
Please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. My name is Delzine. I'm also a second year student, and I'm in Mumbai. So you mentioned that you collected a random sample of the households using by dividing into pockets. So could you elaborate on that? What exactly is that?
Okay, and it like think about any village. Okay, like one, like if you think about NSS survey, one of my friend, like I mentioned, Naresh, no, Dr. Naresh Kumar. He had in fact worked for NSS for some time. So they, what they do is, when you go to a village, let's suppose, okay, so you think about village is quite big. You cannot have a this survey all maybe villages, or your number of households also keep changing. So they have a kind of train them. So you have a let's suppose you look at have a rough map of that. Okay, so what mapping is that you see that this is a boundary, these are the households here, and then these are major streets. Okay, so you can divide these into, let's suppose, equal 4 parts. You can take randomly 2 parts. Okay, so or more than that. Okay, so what happen is then when you are dividing this way, like you have a in almost circle, you are dividing them almost equal parts. So when you once you have divided them in equal parts, then you can choose from there randomly which parts you want to survey. In some cases, of course, these researchers may also want them to have in strata, because what happens is that in villages or some other cities also, there are certain pockets where you will find that more affluent people they live, and then some places are where relatively people who are living are poor. So you don't want to have a just survey one kind of households, one type of households. So what you do is let's suppose you have a 4, you have a divider, you have want to have a completed all the 4. Within then 4 you can have a sometime almost equal division of household when you think about in terms of area. Okay, and if the whole area is covered, then you will always have a almost जो है ना dividing them in almost equal part. You can of course there will be households will be more or less, it cannot be perfect, but then once you have divided them, you look at the streets which you have to cover in those areas, and then you can have a numbering the households and all those things. You can go ahead with that. So this is a relatively makes your life easy, especially when you don't have a perfect record of households. In case you have a quite good record of households, and you get the full list of the households in that area, you can also, you don't may not have to do this either. Yeah, then you can just go for a random sampling if you want. But this sampling in and one way another, since as I told you that households in different areas may have a different income, belong to maybe different income groups. This sometimes covers that population better and maybe more representative compared to totally randomly picking them, especially if your sample is small, like ours 55 is, as I told you, is not that simple. But if I had we taken be 500 households in that area, getting a list and then doing survey might have a be like, if we have a list, doing that survey is good. So that's how you have a you can plan it kind of. So it's but thing is that it's about first mapping and then dividing them based on map.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
Sir, may I ask a question?
Please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Good morning, teachers. I'm Oishika Shah, an SY student from Kolkata. And sir, my question to you is that when it comes to quantitative research, what would your advice be? Like, how do we exactly conduct the quantitative research, and what software do you think we should use as students who've just started researching? What would be a good software or a good method to conduct this research? Because qualitative research can be conducted through surveys and
या सर, मुझे एक बात पूछनी थी। अभी जो आपका अगर मैं क्वेश्चनर देखूं तो उसमें इनकम के ऊपर क्वेश्चंस थे, एम्प्लॉयमेंट के ऊपर क्वेश्चंस थे। So would you be terming them as a qualitative study, or would you be terming it as a mixed qualitative and quantitative? मतलब क्योंकि basically students you would be now aware about is quantitative requires exclusively numbers. मतलब it is like incomes, that employment days, and in which you can perform statistical operations or mathematical operations. Or when it comes to qualitative data like nominal data, ordinal data, तो वो when you have that kind of data, the study gets more tilted towards qualitative. Although it will have that data collection methods are also observation, group discussions. Sir, आप अपनी study को किस में देखेंगे? Qualitative, quantitative या mixed?
I think it's more quantitative, but see, the thing is, your argument or other stuff, like it's basically, you see, you are telling about some people, okay? I tell my students, like, you are, let's suppose you meet someone and you are talking about certain incidents, okay, and this happened and why this happened, okay? So what you do is, you narrate first what is happening, and then say that why it is happening with some kind of proof. Okay, what you cannot say, okay, this happened from anywhere. You must have known somewhere something, and when you are telling them, so this data is basically kind of proof. So you are saying that this is happening, and you are giving this data as a proof that, okay, this is what I found, and based on this I'm saying that this is happening. For example, I'm saying that initially this like casual labor workers had income loss, much higher income losses. So how do I know? So I have to first did a random survey, so it's become much more trustworthy, and this like I have a not, it's unbiased, and then based on that, it's I show them, okay, this is a income losses for casual worker, these are for regular employed, and these are for self-employed. So it's one, this is much higher than other, so I can say that. Of course, I can do some test also, t-test or ANOVA, to prove that, show further that this is significantly different, these losses, especially if you they are not the same people or same group which are over the time studying. It is always good to use some statistics. So this so in that sense, it's a qualitative, sorry, quantitative. Okay, when you are calculating data, in fact, I personally think that when you are having a nominal data also, you are recording certain kind of in terms of 1 2, because your software will understand only 1 or 2. Okay, they 1 2 3 numbers, they don't understand the words or like ABCD. So that's why I tell my students that you like, there are many mistakes which you make, like when you are making even schedule, preparing a schedule, you should code everything, give everything a code. Okay, otherwise when you are entering data, you will have a problem. Okay, you have to have a same kind of codes. If you everyone is doing so same schedule, you have a code, it will make your life much easier when you are doing data, entering data and analyzing. But see, qualitative data in aspect comes when you are trying to understand the reasons or the processes. Okay, some studies, especially those which are which you understand what is happening, and not only just it's a starting point, and then why it is happening, how people communicate with each other, how they actually establish, for instance, institutions, how they interact with each other. So they are based, these things are based on observations. Okay, someone said, someone, it's observation. You it's very difficult to quantify those things. So when you write that story based on those incidents, and then develop a framework or some idea of what's happening, that is a kind of qualitative side. Okay, so of course some observation here, when they are, how the people are adjusting, are it becomes qualitative observations. But mostly I think my study is quantitative. So and I believe that some, especially when you, if you are in economics or something similar, social sciences, uh, quantitative study or quantifying everything, trying to quantify everything, makes your work much better. Of course, you have can must have some qualitative aspect of that, where you can are measuring, or you are observing why something happening and how the people are behaving, how they are adjusting. But this small stuff, quantification makes your work much better in the sense that you can compare. Okay, in a qualitative study, you cannot compare. And I believe that you can, if many stuff, almost everything can be quantified either directly or through proxy variables. I give you an example. For instance, personally, I have done one survey for my MPhil. I have my MPhil was how social norms have an impact the occupational choices. Of course, there was not I was in learning stage. I could have done much better that stuff, but then I had a question that okay, the perceived identity, how people perceive you, influence your actions. Okay, perceiving basically means your their expectation from you in terms of your identity. Okay, so if you think about it, caste groups are identified in a way that you society perceives something about them. Okay, so in Punjab, for instance, there are two communities, Jat, they are mostly in agriculture, Jat we call them, or Baniya. They are mostly businessmen. But why? What is happening? We don't have any more caste system in that way legally enforced. It's in fact illegal. Both are actually considered to be upper caste. It's not that somehow they are deprived in any way. So why it's not that more of from Baniya caste is are doing agriculture, and or from Jat they are doing business even after so many years, or at that time it was in 2007. So 2007 basically means about 60 years after independence. So one of the thing is how people perceive their identity that makes it different, or maybe your uh, chances of doing an occupation makes different. For instance, mostly Jat are identified as aggressive. Okay, the way they are perceived makes a huge difference for them when it comes to identity. Now, one way to know that whether you actually this one way is that I tell them, okay, this is are perceived aggressive and that's why they are doing it. Okay, or somehow I link it with that business cannot be done if you are aggressive or you are physically aggressive. But how do I know that it is actually working or not? Unless I quantify it, it is very difficult. Okay, so one way is to find a proxy variable. Let's suppose if they are Jat identity in some way is influencing, that means all those aspects people are expecting from them, some of them must be having certain outcome which is different for both the groups. So for example, if they expect to have a more aggressive, that means they must be more likely to enter into a physical fight. Okay, so you'd calculate and ask them if in the last 5 year, or maybe during his own lifetime, how whether they have had any physical fight, like especially when they are, since they are adult. Okay, if the identity really influencing their behavior, that means it's not that people are actually very different from each other, but if their identity is seriously influencing this behavior, that means Jat may be more likely to have this experience of physical fighting with someone compared to Baniyans. Okay, in fact, if you look at a certain way, some Baniyans, when I talk to them, a businessman, they say that okay, we are Jat Baniya. Okay, and if you look at that normal who never claim them to be Jat Baniya, or those who call them Jat Baniya in the sense, they also had a Jat Baniya who claim to be in that sense a kind of character. They had more likely to have any experience of have a physical fight. So this experience is like a quantification helps even when you are doing a qualitative study, or often I find it especially in like in some way it's a quantification helps you a lot. So I do recommend that to somehow try to quantify directly or indirectly through proxies everything which you are trying to say. That's I think And I think you are talking about software. I see software. It depends on, of course, availability, but I don't know all the softwares, but I personally, with all the softwares I know, if possible, I think I like Stata. If it's a quite convenient and a little, I find it a little easy. And I mean, if you once you get a hang of it, I think you might like it more than other. But but and there is a free software if you want to use otherwise also. It's a Grittle. It's good. Like I like it. Some of you, if you are too much into econometrics and you want to do some very higher kind of some other kind of analysis, and R is good. But I personally want to recommend to everyone saying that you must learn R if you are not working on data almost every day. Okay, if you are doing it continuously, you are used to your work is something which requires you to continuously engage with data and analyze data on every day. So learning R is good. It will be a good thing. But if you are doing it in once in a month, or I think, or in Stata, almost will do all the jobs which you may need, or even Gradle for that matter.
Yeah, I would just like to mention here from my personal experiences, you first enter the data in Excel, and from Excel it can be imported to any packages. So Excel is one of your master file in which lot of survey data analysis can happen. So generally I prefer SPSS because it is more user friendly when I have to do a survey data analysis. I'm using the word survey data analysis. We are talking only about that. We are not talking about any time series data or anything, but Stata is definitely, I like it when it comes to doing econometric regressions, so or non-parametric analysis. So Stata is definitely, but basic is you should have Excel. So that alone is, I feel, is enough, at least if you are not doing any regression analysis, because Excel, maybe there is a pivot table in which tables can be prepared. We are not looking at, because you are at the first stage now. So generally over the time you would really because the SPSS also has, the way you get your graphs, tables, do your cross tabulation analysis, and also some chi-square test. So all that test can be easily done through packages, but basic Excel knowing is definitely needed, definitely, about data cleaning, and that is happening in Excel, because many times when you are manually entering the data, a lot of errors happen while data inputting also. So anyone else has a question? Can you please unmute or raise your hand, because I'm not seeing anyone raising their hand. So anyone else has a question? Anyone else has a question? सर व्हेन इट केम टू, आपने आर्टिकल्स भी काफी रिव्यू किए हैं, मतलब आपने काफी, ऑल्दो आपने पहला आपका ड्राफ्ट कब रेडी हुआ था, मतलब जब आपने जर्नल को सेंड किया, क्योंकि उससे पहले आपने लिटरेचर रिव्यू भी किया होगा, तो वो जो आर्टिकल सर्चिंग था कब किया था, कौन से गूगल स्कॉलर यूज किया था या कोई डेटाबेस यूज किया था?
Actually, the thing is, since I was like, I think I was interested in this topic. I was continuously reading on it. So it's not that first time. In fact, for this article, like the data was ready only in by 20th of that month, and 30, I think 30th or 31st was last date of submitting. So I had to do it fast. We had two drafts, but this literature review, mostly I had done it. I was reading earlier, so I was looking for all, since there was not many studies at that time available. So some of the studies which are coming or somehow reported, so I was always looking for it. And I didn't rely too much on this any kind of search engine for that, at least like too much. Of course, I used Google Scholar, but I many of those things which I articles which I studied, I have found it on Twitter. So, like, for instance, Chicago, this Baker and Friedman Baker school, they were doing it on. I'm following them, so it's whenever they start posting on this Twitter also links that we are doing research on this working paper. A lot of working paper were coming, so I start reading them. Second, NBER was there. They also had a lot of was coming paper, so I was continuously keeping track of it. Another was mostly helpful, quite helpful was some of the groups like I was we have a CDS has a students they have a group. Some of the teachers are also there. They also share if they find something interesting study. So that was another. Of course, there were some publication or some things were coming in. EPW and some those there were also references to those. Okay, so these two different references I looked at. This they have looked at this study and this okay, this might be there. So for instance, if I find in NPR some paper, they must have referred somewhere. Okay, so their reference is also sometimes helpful. So this cross referencing and then mostly following some major this places where they are publishing articles, NBR and Chicago and EPW and some other journals places or working paper by some of the institutes in India or some other groups they are coming up with the reports on based on field work. And then this ideas for India they were also had publishing. So this mostly was following those and some of them on Twitter, some otherwise I will look at once in a while. So I was reading those. So literature was almost ready, and like in that way, I have some understanding of literature before I start writing. And so this was not like I didn't have to do it and specifically for it.
Girish, can you ask your question?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. I'm Girish. I'm from Gurdaspur, Punjab. So, sir, your paper is published in Millennial Asia and is indexed by Sage Publication. So, sir, did the way you write, did the way you usually write the paper got influenced? Did you keep the journal in mind before writing the paper, or when you completely wrote the paper and then you sent it to the journal? Because we sometimes read that certain journals prefer certain kind of formatting and certain way of writing. So did it usually get hampered that way?
Uh, Actually, that's my big problem. Like I wrote many papers and most of them are not considering the journals which I can publish. So I, in fact, two or three of my papers, I have a really serious issue. Like one is on social norms, sustainability of social norms,